What about Bobby though?
Well, Bobby's not coming.
Wait, Bobby's not. I thought he was coming.
No.
When
he's got to talk to Eric.
Okay.
When did he say that?
I think we're live. Can somebody verify that?
Here, do you want me to? Are we not doing 360 this time?
I mean, if you want to, somebody just check on their phone if we're streaming. I can't access my phone.
I can't access mine either.
How do I check it?
Here we go.
Oh yeah, it's live right now.
It's live?
Yeah, we're live.
Can you see me switching the camera?
In a second. Hold on, it's not happening yet.
When will it be now? When will then be now?
Oh, I guess it's.
When will tomorrow be today? Yeah, it's switching.
It's switching?
Yeah, it's switching views.
Okay. All right.
Yep, there we go.
You like these cables? Look at that cable porn right there.
God. To all of our viewers watching today that are work in IT, please avert your eyes.
Low quality.
All right, let's get started over here now. You know what?
What?
I didn't arm anything to record.
So we're just listening to the intro for no reason then.
No, there's always a reason. That's a great intro.
Yeah, it's a podcast with no reason.
It's a great track.
Quit doing the angry face. Stop the anger.
All right, let's try that again. You'd think that we'd never did this before.
Yeah, I think it's because we drink every time we do it, so we never truly learn everything.
It's our
new.
first time every time.
I think we bypassed the bomber peak a little bit before we got started this time.
Yeah, probably just a little bit.
All right, welcome everyone to episode 13 of Beers of the Round Table.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Spooky.
We just missed Friday the 13th and we're all kicking ourselves. If you're watching us on Facebook, you will notice that we now have multiple camera angles. Two cameras.
Two old camera angles.
Which is twice as many as we had before.
Very true.
But a lot less degrees, I think.
It's okay. It's okay. You know what? Even if it's just 90 degrees, man, at least it's steady. It's predictable.
It's predictable. All right, so let's go ahead and crack into our beer. This week we are drinking Bell's Octoberfest.
Is this a twist off?
It is not a twist off.
We can pass around the bottle over.
You guys get to hear 4 cracks this week.
I have my own though.
I feel like reaching into my pocket.
Oh my God, Scott, you have your own alcoholic here.
Yeah, let me see if we can get this. Oh yeah, look at that. Perfect.
Perfect pour.
Right there.
Every time.
So on our live stream, you can actually see the bottle. It's perfectly framed.
Beautiful.
All right. So it's Octoberfest season, which means
It means we have a nice orange beer.
yes, Marzens abound from all the different breweries.
The beer drinkers pumpkin spice latte.
Well, you know, there's a lot of like these days. There's a lot of pumpkin beers that come out too. You know, beers with pumpkin in them, beers with pumpkin spice in them.
For sure. But I mean, in general, though, the Marzen was a traditional, Oktoberfest beer. So definitely, the tradition there.
It's what
The norm.
it's the German thing.
It's the German thing.
The
dude.
German thing.
The Germans.
All right.
This is good.
Yeah.
I dig it.
So this week, I get to hold the topic. So I want to talk about smart home devices, and it's something that probably it's going to be becoming more prevalent as we head into the holiday season. That always seems to be the big push around Christmas time. Last year was a really big thing with they were selling a ton of the Echo Dots.
Yeah.
Google Home had just come out.
Oh yeah.
You just got a Nest.
I just got a Nest thermostat. We just installed it prior to this podcast, so that's a lot of fun.
Dude, that thing is a space thermostat. I'll tell you what, man.
It's really cool. Like we set the temperature, and it's like, all right, you'll be at 72 degrees in about an hour and a half.
Like it. It's what thermostats should have always been.
And that's awesome that they're doing that too, because with them like moving towards the smart thermostat systems, especially as it gets hotter and hotter every year, it could help out save electricity by optimizing, optimal cooling times and heating times.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing, is that it's supposed to save you a ton of energy. It's supposed to pay for itself with its energy savings.
Right.
Yeah.
One of its big features is tracking you on your tracking your phone, and so when you leave, it will bump your air conditioning up to an eco-friendly temperature, or bump your heating down to an eco-friendly temperature, depending on the season.
Definitely.
And then using geofencing, whenever you're coming back home, it'll figure out when you come back home, and it'll set the temperature to your comfortable setting. And by the time you get home, it should be where you'd like it.
Right.
So you're not wasting your energy by keeping it at a comfortable level when you're not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a huge waste that everybody has too, because not everybody can remember to go ahead and turn off, the thermostat, or not everybody wants to do that, especially when we're in Texas, and you have to wait for it to cool all the way back off. And at that point too, the other thing is that you're cranking that thing down whenever you come home. If you turn it off while you're gone and everything like that, and it's going to use up even more electricity. It's going to work that much harder to bring it down all that. That many degrees. How hot it got.
Yeah, especially during the summer in Texas. It's that's.
You mean the 11 months of summer?
Yeah, that's where all of our energy goes. But like another big thing I wanted to talk about with the smart home thing, not just thermostats, but Google just had a big product reveal recently, and one of the things that they came out with was the Google Home Mini, which I'm really liking it. I want to get one because it's a big competitor to the Echo Dot, which I'm starting to get a little tired of, because it just kind of decides to turn on when it's not supposed to, when I'm not talking to it.
I knew it was just a matter of time before Google came out with like a better
version, because it's the same price point. Actually, Amazon, the Echo Dots are $45 right now for a limited time, and I think it's just trying to answer Google.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, man, a lot of people have Android phones, and if you already have an Android phone, or if you already have a Chromecast are pretty popular, little streaming sticks. It's like, man, why go with an Amazon Echo? Google just is the logical choice. Keep it all Google or keep it all Apple. Don't just end up with this third-party crap.
Because I originally went with the Amazon Echo because it was more compatible with some smart devices. Because I just put in the Hue lights, and it was more compatible with that. Google hadn't quite gotten up to that yet, but I know they have that kind of control now. Mm-hmm. And the way that some people have compared the two is that with the Echo, it's kind of like memorizing commands. Turn these lights on, turn these lights off, that kind of thing. But with Google, people have said that it's a little bit easier to have a natural conversation with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of something that you want with something that's supposed to become connected in your home.
Yeah, and that's something that Google has been working on. Making their natural
language
processing, just a lot better.
Yeah,
well, and they can do that because they drive a lot of their data, and a lot of their development data comes from the usage of the Google Assistant on your cell phones, on your Android devices and stuff. I actually am curious. Do you guys happen to know if the Google Assistant on Android devices is that the same as what is loaded onto the Google Home devices?
I would assume so. Just because
they're supposed to be seamless.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be one and the same.
Right.
That'd be really cool if it is.
And it's probably very similar because, it's the same with, Siri. All that, processing and stuff is done. They take a small recording, send it up to the servers real quick, where they process the recording, and then come back down to the device with the interpretation.
Right.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, kind of back onto the talking to it part. There's actually been studies with younger kids and the way they talk to technology, and you have to talk very proper to, an Alexa or the Google Smart Home, and it's just interesting because it has no emotions, but young kids tend to be very nice to it and will say thank you and stuff like that, just because they know that input then generates another output. Mm-hmm. So they might say play, Alexa, play music or whatever, and then.
But that's just a matter of time, I think, until they, start getting more used to the.
Oh God, no!
Shut up, Alexa. We're not talking to you. Alexa, stop.
I'm sorry.
I'm seriously trying to play music. I don't even know what music it's playing.
Yeah. So it was just interesting because, these younger kids are maybe only like 2.5, 3, 4, so they're still developing their communications.
Yeah, right.
And they're growing up in an environment where they're communicating with robots.
Yeah, and it's, just kind of, I think, just the way that things are changing, times are changing, that, these kids are growing up with this technology, and it's not even going to be something that they have to really think about. With us, it's like, we
were raised with the internet, man. That was us.
No, but like even with us, the advent of smart home things are coming through, that we're having to learn how to talk to these things, how to interact with it.
Right.
But with these younger kids, it's something that's just always going to kind of be, in their house, part of their lives. It's just going to, be. I don't even know how to compare it. It's, something that we grew up with. I mean, I guess with us, it was kind of using computers, because computers were like pretty much already in our homes by the time that we were little. So I think it's going to be something similar like that. But something I wanted to kind of get into with the new Google Home Mini that they were talking about is Joseph shared an article with us earlier this week. It was talking about how one guy submitted something to Google that got all of the Google Home Minis nerfed. Mm-hmm. And it was because he was noticing that there's a place on Google's website where you can go and view like all the recordings from your Google Home that it's listening to you whenever you activate it. And he was noticing that his was going off like thousands of times a day, like short little clips, and it was all these little micro recordings being sent to Google servers. Excuse me. And he was like, oh, well, this is, a huge invasion of privacy and all this kind of stuff. And so, like, he emails the PR department of Google and, lets them know. They come, swap it out, and take it to, like, an undisclosed Google facility to do some investigation and diagnostic on it. Come to find out, they have a touch sensor on them that you can hold down to activate it rather than activating it with your voice.
Right.
The touch sensor was faulty and was just going off.
Oh, shit.
So they pushed out an update to all the Google Home Minis to
turn off the touch sensor.
Sensor. Yep. So none of them have the touch sensor on them.
Now, from what I understand, this only really affected the Google Home Minis that were given out at a certain event.
Yeah, but I think it's going to go out to all the ones that go out into production initially until they can find out a better, longer term.
That too.
What you call
it?
Solution.
Some certain pre-orders, I think they've.
Yeah, that's the word.
But yeah, that's surprising to me.
Yeah.
That a Google product would have that kind of, problem.
Yeah. Well, I could see that because the thing is that Google doesn't do their own manufacturing. I mean, that's kind of a problem whenever you're dealing with outside entities. I mean, just in general. I mean, everybody kind of deals with it. I mean, that's kind of one of the problems that they're having to deal with, right now, even whenever it comes to manufacturing of like the Pixel devices and everything. I think if Google could, or if they had the resource, actually, now that I think about it, probably not. But the thing is that I don't know if Google would even want to really get into manufacturing, though, even if it did mean an improvement in the quality of their products, just because, that just opens up another can of worms that you then have to deal with.
I'm assuming they don't manufacture them themselves, but I know for a fact that they have their own custom-built servers for them, like their own custom motherboards,
right,
and everything. They're like specific for Google servers.
Well, and the thing is that you could still go to Foxconn and have them do the manufacturing, and that's kind of the issue too. Whereas there are some tech companies like, I think Samsung has their own fabrication firms.
I think so, yeah.
And LG as well.
Screens and
yeah.
And that's actually, I think, one of the reasons why LG is still actually staying afloat. I remember reading a story not too long ago where it was like, well, LG's like, this past year, it was like over 80% of their profits came from non-smartphone sources. So
it's probably screen technology for them too, I'd imagine.
Well, and I don't know who does the sourcing for iPhone screens now, or the manufacturing for the iPhone screens, but
it's either Samsung or Sharp.
Yeah, it was Sharp, I think, is what it is, because it was Samsung a long time ago.
Yeah,
or it had been for a while. But that'd be nice if they did actually start manufacturing it in house. Though they'd have a better, QA.
Yeah, I know that they do their own design and stuff, which is really good. They've improved their design a lot.
For
all
sure.
their devices. Like the new Pixels, they look cool now. Like,
dude, I know I was getting mad on the group chat, but I think I am. I think I will.
Zach's like, no, fuck the Pixel. I'm not getting it. They took away the headphone jack.
I was so mad. I really was, but I think I'm just probably gonna suck it up and not be a little bitch and just buy a damn phone.
it's just like in the little details they've done on there, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of gets me. And the same with the Google Home devices, too, actually. It looks like something from the future.
It does.
With it.
It does.
Well, apparently, something that they were talking about in that article that was revealed, Google's code names for their home devices are pretty fun.
Yeah.
So the original Google Home was codenamed the Pineapple. And the Google Home Mini that they just came out with was codenamed the Mushroom.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
I mean, I think my excitement towards it is I really want to get a full, I guess, speaker system sort of set up in my house to where basically no matter which room you're in, you can hear the record player or Spotify, whatever we decide to play through it.
I mean, Sonos does that.
Sonos does a great job with it. The thing is, though, is that they will cost. It costs a lot of money to even get those things set up.
Sonos is wireless.
Well, but what I was seeing
it's Wi-Fi actually. That's
with the Chromecast audio.
You can do it multiple rooms.
You can. I think they call it like stitch them together or something like that, and so it will actually stitch together each of your speakers.
You just have to have multiple receivers set up,
right?
And that's kind of the trade-off right there. I mean, another thing too is that there's plenty of people who've used Raspberry Pis to accomplish the same task.
Yeah.
I mean, the key is that you use your Wi-Fi network to provide that kind of functionality. But that is definitely a cool project to.
Yeah.
I mean, do Sonos. If you do have the money for Sonos though, it's definitely worth it. I mean, they're just great speakers. I mean, they're as good, if not better, than Bose quality in my opinion. I mean, whenever I saw it when I was working at Best Buy years ago.
Yeah. My parents had some Sonos speakers.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they actually did work out pretty well, yeah.
Was that up in the game room where they had that?
No. They might have had some up there. But what I remember them using them with is they had some set up like in our kitchen den area and then some in the living room. So we could be like, doing Pandora and both rooms of the house. Like if they had like a family gathering, then you got like, Pandora going out throughout the entire house.
Yeah, and see, that's kind of what I went for. It's just, mainly I want to be able to play records and hear it. I mean, I can kind of hear it anywhere in the house. But it was after that last barbecue we had at my place where it was like, we wanted the music outside, but the only thing we could do was open up the window to get it outside. So,
and put the speaker next to the
and turn like Zach's seen my dad set up where he has like the outdoor speakers out there.
He ran wiring out there too, right?
He actually ran wire like outside to do outdoor speakers.
And see, we're getting to a point where you don't really have to do that anymore.
Wi-Fi is enough, man. You don't really need all that much. You just hook it up to that regular, not the 5G. Because you don't need the 5G.
Right.
You use your regular 2.4 gigahertz bands. It'll cut through the walls. And you're not even having any device on there anyway, so that channel's just free.
Yeah.
Why not dedicate that for maybe utility purposes like, the smart light bulbs, the Nest system, the wireless speakers?
Well, at least our smart light bulbs have their own bridge, so they're not even on our Wi-Fi network.
That's cool.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
They've got their own network.
I would love to have a Sonos. God.
Well, I mean, what are their price range for it?
I wanted to say it was like $100 a speaker, if I'm remembering correctly. Sonos speakers here.
I heard the name. I haven't ever looked into them though.
I think it looks exactly like a Bose speaker too. I mean, like
the big long ones.
Oh yeah.
Not like the tall ones. Like,
wow, yeah.
They're probably like yay big.
Okay.
They range from $250 and up. So
yeah, because they're like different, qualities.
Yeah.
You can get a Sonos Playbar wireless streaming hi-fi sound bar with wall mounting kit, and it looks like it comes with 4 extra speakers with it.
They had them at my old job,
and that's
$2,400. Really?
Yeah.
Like they had them set up.
Yeah, like they were like, I think they more used them as sound bars for the TVs.
Uh huh.
But yeah, they had Sonos speakers. I was like,
Oh, here's a good
Why?
one. Here's a Boost Enterprise grade one.
That's just one of the things that companies do. So they'll just spend money on things if they think that they need.
Yeah, because they have the Sonos speakers, they had an Xbox One, a PS4.
So if you want a Sonos system for a multi-room music setup, this is an enterprise grade one right here. It's 6 Sonos speakers. They look like they're probably, like Bluetooth looking speakers.
Yeah.
With the receiver box, you're going to run you at $1,293, and that is from probably an online kind of cheaper store.
Well, that is enterprise grade. I mean, when you're talking about enterprise, you got money to blow.
$1,000 on a good speaker setup is not that bad.
You can do 4 of them for $796.
Oh yeah.
But I guess kind of a greater point I wanted to get to with this whole home stuff is, talking about that article that we were, talking about with the Google Home Mini, where this was more, I guess, kind of an accidental case, we hope, of privacy invasion.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we think about, the more connected things that you get into your home?
Well, I mean, this was a big problem when Connect, first started. It was like,
well, yeah, because
Microsoft just installed,
because they kind of like
cameras.
they kind of forced you to have the Connect on there, and it was always listening so that it could turn on your console,
right?
Maybe, but I mean, so how I guess where do we draw the line between paranoia and actual concern about privacy invasion in your home with connected devices?
I mean, the tinfoil hats have always been cautious.
Oh, of course.
I mean, you have to kind of be a forensic scientist about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But that requires skills.
Yeah, and this guy.
Unfortunately, not everyone can look into what is being transmitted over your Wi-Fi. What's going out on the network. But
I mean, at least in this case, I mean, while this guy kind of had, I mean, I don't think he had a ton of developer knowledge, but he had enough. He didn't even really do anything looking into console stuff or looking into his router or anything like that. He just went to the Google provided portal for his Google Home and was digging through there. It's like, hey, why is it waking up so many times?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I've never owned any of these devices, but I'm sure there's a light that goes off or something like that when it's actually transmitting.
Yeah, he actually said that there was there's 4 little lights on there.
Yeah.
But the Echo has the light ring that's a lot more noticeable. But this one just kind of has 4 LEDs on the top of it that you could probably not even notice if you're
Here's the thing too, is that you have those devices where it's people are getting concerned about that kind of stuff. About having their conversations listened in on, and their TVs listening to them and all that other stuff.
Well, especially since all the smart home things now do calls.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never use it myself for calls,
but
because it feels like you're going back to a landline.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's too much.
And I just couldn't my Echo sits all the way over there, and I just couldn't imagine talking to somebody on the phone over here.
Yeah.
Or on the couch or something.
Right.
Screaming at my Echo.
To me, I feel like these smart home devices are extensions of your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, why would you use it for what you have your phone for?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, and the thing is here that I want to get at is people are getting all bent out of shape with this, but these same people will go through their ISP, their internet service provider like AT&T, and get AT&T's home security system, home automation system. Now, basically, they get cameras installed in their house, the ability to lock the doors, plus the Amazon Echo, plus all their AT&T special crap. And it's like, dude, this isn't even a real security system. It's not like ADT where it calls the police for you, stuff like that. Literally, you don't mind if somebody's spying on you if they're saying it under the guise of, well, it's to keep your house safe and stuff like that, too. What's the difference between having a Google Home that listens to you and your ISP's, crap listening to you? I don't know.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, of course, everyone here at this table is a little bit more aware of, ISP sniffing.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, they're already...
So... I mean, that's why I have a VPN set up.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
I'll have to pry my traffic from my cold, dead hands.
But yeah, with the whole issue here is it's in strict security terms. Since I'm in the security class this semester, it's a breach of confidentiality is what people are concerned about.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, but by getting one, you agree that you're sending your voice data.
You signed the contract.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I can't imagine. Like, if you don't want that, then don't get the device. Like,
Right.
Oh yeah,
I don't see why
completely
you'd
agree
be
with that.
mad that they're transmitting your voice when that's what it's meant to
Yeah,
do.
I completely
If
agree.
it's doing what it's supposed to do, that's awesome. But people are scared it's doing extra things that it shouldn't.
Well, who cares? You know what, dude? You want to use the service. You don't get charged monthly for it. You don't. It's a free freaking service.
Unless it's through your home security provider.
Oh, well, then you...
then you're overpaying.
Yeah, lube up. You're going for another ride. Man, no, and that's...
I mean, Zach, they should care about it, but...
They should.
I think what I'm getting at is if you're that paranoid about it, then maybe you shouldn't have got one in the first place.
Yes, but
You shouldn't have done that.
They need to remember. They need to think that this is to help you. Sometimes, if they get mad about oh, my voice is going to their servers. Well, dude, it's also for them to improve their service. Well, it's also to improve the service for them as well as everyone else. I mean, that's how you're driving down the road and there's all this. Interference from the wind outside of the car, or maybe somebody else is talking in the car, and you need to go ahead and do navigate to so-and-so spot. So you hit that little voice command button, and you're able to say that. And Google's able to, pick out all that things, which one's your voice, and actually figure out through all that jumbled mess what you actually said pretty accurately, man.
That's an amazing feat of engineering, dude.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, trying to drive to the bomb factory yesterday in Dallas. Like, come on, man. That was like...
You picking up some bombs?
Picking up bombs, yes. Now we're on a watch list, guys. Congratulations.
But
Bombs like Portugal the man, am I right?
Damn. Oh.
But talking about the engineering feat around that's something. Now I'm sure the Google Homes are similar too. But like the Echoes, that's one thing that I've always kind of given them credit for is they have like something like 7 microphones on those things, and it's actually really cool with like the LED ring. Whenever you start talking to it, like. The blue part of the ring faces where it hears the voice coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it knows how to pick that out of all the noise in there because it will have the TV going. And I'll scream at Alexa over there, and she'll figure it out.
Okay.
I said her name.
So speaking about home automation, we talked about a little bit of the regular stuff. I was just kind of looking through here to see what the latest innovation in home automation is here, and I came across PC Mag's little, gathering here. What do you guys think about investing in like the iRobot, like cleaning robots that do the mopping, the sweeping, or like the lawn mowing robot? Yeah.
Well, okay, as far as like the cart or vacuum cleaner ones, I've heard nothing but bad things. Like everybody I hear who has one, it like shuts the door on itself and then dies because it can't make it back to home to charge.
Like my parents have one, and so it's. I think the way that they use it is it's not a substitute for actually real vacuuming.
Yeah.
What like they have it actually running over their ceramic tile floor. And what it is that they have 2 dogs that shed everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, it just runs periodically and picks up, loose hair that's, lying around. And so that just kind of makes their, their normal cleanup duties a little bit less. But, I mean, I guess you just have to kind of get it without, the expectations like, oh, this will be my maid. This is going to, take over all cleaning duties for me.
I'll never have to mop again.
But, I mean, at the same time, going into it, with that mindset, that's a really expensive investment for such a thing like that.
Yeah.
And like Kara was really wanting one at one point, but then she found out that she for some reason thought that it mopped the floor too. And and then she found out it doesn't
There's a
mop.
separate robot for that one.
You gotta get the other one.
And so
The Roomba.
That would almost be more inconvenient because you have to fill it up with water like every 10 minutes because I can't.
Unless it's like a steam mop, you'd still need water.
Well, I mean, just think like
it goes back to base and refills itself.
How much water could it even hold?
Well, see, what you do is you get a little reservoir on the front of it that you fill up with Fabuloso. And so then as it's Roombaing around, it it's spraying with the front part of it and then like squeegeeing with the back.
That's how I think it works. But I was just thinking, it's like I just imagine this robot with like a big old tank on top of it, and it tries to go up underneath the table that's a little too low. It just breaks off, and water goes everywhere. What the fuck?
Or just like it's running around with like an actual mop. Like with the mop part of it just swipping back behind it. It's just like little nine tails.
Knocking shit over. It's like making a muck.
It's like all those videos where the 18-wheelers like hit the bridge that's too low for them to go.
That's what I'm thinking, and just water going down and everything shorts out the robot.
Well, because there actually is something that it hits in their house that it gets stuck under.
Always.
I'm trying to think what it is, but like it'll just get stuck.
And the other thing is they can't handle like little divots in the it can't go if there's too much of a bump. Yeah, if there's too much of a bump, it gets stuck, or it just can't go over that bump.
Yeah. So I guess we're just not at a point where robots
we need
can
something
clean the
that
house
actually
yet.
can walk around.
What do y'all think about Teamy? That link that I had posted.
The new, and that's everybody keeps talking about. Well, this will be the year that robots become commonplace. This will be the year. This will be the year, dude. I think it's just
we're not there yet. Definitely,
it's still not there yet. This Teamy thing is not. It's not anything new or special.
I think it's an interesting concept.
I didn't actually see that. Somebody.
It was like a robot tablet that. It's also an Alexa.
Yeah, it's basically like a little robot that roams around your house with like a tablet for a face.
How do you spell it again?
Temi.
Huh.
And it's a little robot like that. It's actually got a shelf on its back, and it just kind of roams around and is connected to the.
I kind of think like how the guy that works over at CAS IT.
Yeah.
You know how he works from Argentina, he telecommutes, but he rolls around on an iPad on wheels?
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of these.
Wait, is that a real thing?
That. Yeah. They actually, there's a guy up at the school. He got to work remotely, and in order to work remotely and be able to like go check on like the servers or computers that are like getting imaged and stuff like that in the office, he basically like clocks in the morning and he like yells for somebody to come unplug him from this like little robot stand, and then he'll start rolling around. And like I remember working at MMS. And I'd go pick up a computer from him. I just see this dude's face rolling around on top of this like fucking peg.
What do they call it?
It's like a little Segway looking thing.
Something presence device. I don't remember.
Well, anyways, my my problems with that is I have a 2-story house I'm living at, so the stairs automatically defeat.
It just goes
automatically it defeats this robot because I spend most of my time upstairs, so
you try to go up the stairs.
It's completely useless. Plus, I have a carpet, so it's like.
Well, I mean, I don't think the carpet would be such a big of an issue, but I mean,
in the video, it's all hardwood floors, which makes me concerned because I don't like hardwood floors.
Probably the best use case for it.
I know it's a lot easier to clean, but it is not soft on your feet, and I like soft things on my feet.
Buy house shoes.
I do have house shoes.
Like my whole thing with it is like it's kind of an interesting concept, but it doesn't seem like it has a whole ton of utility in your house.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do with it?
Because like everything that I saw in the videos that they had, like they were just like yelling at it to do something else with another smart connected device, and it was kind of rolling around. The only utility sort of thing was the lazy mom in the kitchen that just makes some cookies.
These snacks to my kiddos.
She puts a damn bowl of cookies on the back of the robot, and it rolls into the living room where the kids are watching TV with the bowl of cookies, and the kids are like, "Oh my god, the robot brought us cookies."
I mean, that's kind of dope.
Dude, I mean,
yeah, sure.
We're watching the video right now on that laptop.
We're on their website, kind of checking it out.
Show me the sports update. Like, dude, you got like a 50-inch TV, 60-inch TV in front of you, and you want to look at it.
My 85-inch TV is not big enough. I need it on this tiny 6-inch tablet.
Come back to me.
I mean, not to go all old person, but like, I really
back in my day,
I really don't see myself being that connected. Like, I don't. I mean, as of right now, I don't use Siri because I don't know your views on it, Brad, but it's a piece of shit. It doesn't ever work for anything you want it to do.
I just don't use it that much because I don't think about it. But I will tell you something. Ever since Evie was born
in the car,
we actually use voice commands a lot more than we used to.
Oh yeah.
Having this hooked up with the lights and everything like that actually makes things a lot easier. Because when I'm walking around, like here comes Kara with the baby. When she's walking around like that, it's harder to activate the lights.
Yeah.
You go flip the switch or something like that.
Well,
but,
I mean,
we can use
that's
the voice.
nice. But anytime I ask like, "Hey Siri, where's the nearest barbecue place?" It's like Google searching for bar Q. It's like that's not what I wanted. Like I don't understand. I can't speak more clearly to these devices, and it just does not work.
It doesn't understand your particular dialect.
Yeah.
The thing with I feel like natural language processing and stuff like that.
It's a hard problem to solve.
Well, and the thing is that you can't be number one unless you're willing to let everybody play with your stuff, unless you're willing to make your technology accessible enough to where everybody can use it and you can actually collect data that way. You have to have an Apple device or some other thing like that in order to use Siri, so they will always be behind, I feel like, compared to like Google, just because Google has it built in on their freaking webpage for that matter. You can do Google Voice.
That's true.
It's on Chromebooks, it's on websites.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true.
And see,
that's
maybe that is my problem, is that what I'm using, looking at that news press conference, it was what they're going, or the direction they were going is it was much more of like texting with the AI.
Which press conference are you referring to?
The recent one that they did.
For which company?
For Google.
For Google, okay, gotcha.
It was like anytime you talked to it, or anytime you interacted with Google Voice, it was like a text conversation, and it went back and forth.
Except for real.
I mean, you can actually, it's kind of funny, if you use Google Now or Google Voice Assistant, you can actually, it looks like an actual texting page, and you can actually text them, you can text to her instead of speaking.
That's what I
like,
like,
and that's what I'm saying, is that it's gathering more data that way to improve itself, versus Siri, it's just always wants to just Google. That's just default.
Let me look that up on the
Let me
web
look
for
that.
you.
It's like that. Yeah. I asked how to get to Austin, not
here's
Google what Austin is.
And now here's part of the thing with Siri, which I agree that Apple needs to do a lot more on its end to kind of like facilitate its growth. But something that they've done recently, which I think kind of needs to take off more with third-party developers, is opening.
Oh no, party foul!
Is opening Siri to third-party development. BRB.
We have the first ever party foul here on Beers at the Round Table.
Oh, look at... No, not that
We lost a cold one.
We lost a cold one, boys.
Let's have a 5 seconds of silence.
We'll say a quick salmon. This cold one was, the Octoberfest beer. It was a good beer. It was well liked by its peers and well drank. Its bright orange color brought autumn fever to all of those who
Laid eyes upon it.
who knew it well. It had an unfortunate accident in which it fell off the table, but it will be sorely missed. What do you think, Joseph?
Oh, I can tell you how many times I've seen that beer just glistening in the class.
Yeah, that's honestly going to be one of the most saddest things about it.
You'll never see its effervescence again.
Yeah, I mean, just the way it would actually fill the glass. I mean,
the happy thing is that it hasn't destroyed any electronics.
The way it would go from like edge to edge and then slowly work its way up to the top of the glass. That was simply amazing.
Simply characteristic of this particular beer.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've done this.
He can't believe that he actually did that.
It'll be okay.
We'll have to move on. I mean, there will be that grieving period, but
anyway.
And we're back.
As I was saying.
As you were saying.
So they've opened. Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah, it's alright.
How dare you miss a spot, Brad?
All right, so they've opened Siri up to third-party developers, but more third-party developers need to kind of take advantage of it because you can have Siri like interact with your app now and pull data from it,
and
perform actions with it.
I'm curious
about
something.
That is something because I believe Google does already do that. And that was something I noticed when I was playing around with my Android phone versus my iPhone, is that it's like, hey, I want to listen to a podcast. If you say, hey, play this, it tries to just look it up on the podcast app. And it's like, no, I use Overcast because I hate your app. And you know,
hate your app.
Well, and that's another thing is that Apple doesn't really let you select your preferred app,
right?
Especially with web browsers, because it's like, you know, a lot of web browsers are getting better than Safari,
right? I mean, just look at Brave.
Yeah,
Brave is awesome.
And but you can't be like, hey, you know, just open this. Like a lot of apps have to manually support being able to open different browsers. You can't just say this is my preferred browser.
Yeah,
default browsers.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that because, you know, I think as we discussed in the iPhone episode, you know, I'm looking to upgrade and I don't know if I'm going to go with Android or if I'm going to go with iPhone. And especially if this voice technology, the more and more it actually becomes a part of our lives, I'm going to be leaning towards the one that actually understands me.
Here's the thing that I like. All right, watch this. I hold down one button, and this is because Google has a lot of my information. Yeah, I give a lot of my information over to Google, and yeah, a lot of people would say, "Why would you do that?" and stuff like that.
Why would you do that, Zach?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is that it's for the convenience's sake. So, like, watch this. Google, how long will it take for me to get home?
By car, the trip home is 20 minutes with light traffic.
So, you know, like...
Why does it make that noise when it's done?
Oh, because I just got a notification about something.
That was perfect timing.
Wiki coincidence, exactly. But I mean, like, you know...
Content strike by Nintendo.
But I mean, there are 3 skull coins on your way home.
I basically sent a bunch of texts out whenever I was driving down to Dallas yesterday because I just, you know, I mean, I'm very much against, you know, entering in text on my phone while driving. And I mean, just in general, Google's Google's Assistant is I think pretty much built into almost every app. I can get it to do almost anything that I want it to. Like I can get it to.
Recent thing, like. The Google Now or the Google Voice, it didn't used to be this good.
No, it's kind of strange how it can reach into the app and actually, like, if I asked it to like go into Spotify and start playing a song, it can go in there, and I don't believe that it requires any real input from the developers to do that necessarily.
I mean, you would probably know the best. Like, is there any specific set of programming standards that they need for the Google Assistant?
Not to my knowledge, but I haven't played very much with it, to be honest with you. I just
also don't know.
Well, at least on the Apple side, there's quite a bit of developer interaction that has to go on to enable Siri stuff.
I do know how they actually do their natural language processing, which is through machine learning, which is something we talked about before, and it's pretty cool. So I was actually going to ask Brad if you knew if they're doing that with Siri.
If they're doing what?
Natural language processing with like machine learning.
Well, because I mean, wasn't that one of their high points of the new phone? Is it's good enough to do machine learning now?
Well, okay,
that's
so
specifically for their facial recognition, I believe.
Right. But Apple's really big push for iOS 11, the most recent update that just came out, their really big push was machine learning. Actually, they're getting all about it right now. They have APIs to assist third-party developers with using machine learning in their apps.
Cool.
You can provide it models to train on, and different things like that. So I would imagine that they've got to be using that with Siri.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of dumb if they weren't.
Yeah. Because like Google, the way that I'm pretty sure they're doing it is they use word vectors or whatever, and they have their own machine learning, like I guess architecture or whatever through TensorFlow, and it's pretty cool, dude. I would be really surprised if Apple was doing it.
Hey, to answer back on your question about the whole what you need to do to actually have apps run voice actions for you, there is actually an API set for more advanced stuff, but in all actuality, it's literally about 4 lines of code. I mean, just to sit there and be like, hey, if you receive a notification for this, then this. I mean, it's...
That sounds pretty nice, but I don't know what the equivalent is on iOS. It could be as simple, but I'm not sure. I've never really looked into it for my apps.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it wouldn't be that much different from like whenever you're doing multi... multi-platform. It wouldn't be much different from multi-platform development, where you have touch interfaces and mouse click interfaces, and I mean, if it's one interface or another, I mean, just use program for that case, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But yeah, that's cool. I like it. It's dope if you get to play around with it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a Google Voice Assistant app on iPhone.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't have anything else. If anybody has, something else to add.
I did want to touch upon something.
Go for it.
A few weeks back, when we did the microtransactions in video games and the rise of the loot boxes.
Loot boxes, yeah.
It has kind of hit an all-time high of people being pissed off about this because the new Forza game, I believe it was, has features that are locked behind loot boxes that was in the previous version just a standard way of playing. In which you can adjust sort of how much the car kind of drives itself. Like, for example, if you're going around a curve, it will drift for you. But then the more you control it, the more rewards you get. Well, now, in order to do that, you have to I might be a little bit off on this just because I haven't done all the research, but you would have to get a loot box to get the chance of getting that specific type of car's way of play of getting more rewards and stuff like that.
Stupid.
Yeah.
that sounds really stupid.
And I mean, one thing I want to clarify is a lot of people have been saying loot boxes is gambling, and I personally do not believe it's gambling.
Not at all. Not at all.
Gambling is you have a chance of just getting nothing. With this, you're paying for a chance of getting something, but no matter what, you will get something. And the ESRB and the PEGI, which is the
European
PEGI 12 or whatever they do.
The European ESRB.
Yeah, basically the ESRB said they don't believe it's gambling because if you look at stuff like trading card games and stuff like that, you always get something, and this is what it's an equivalent to. Whereas Peggy was
I guess from a certain point of view, you can say it.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, if you go and buy a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you're gonna get. You might open it up and get the rare card that you were looking for, or you might open it up and get a bunch of cards you already have. It's the same thing for the loot boxes.
I wonder if that's why those pop figures and other things that are similar, those collectible things are so popular.
It's a blind box.
Well, and it feeds to people's natural.
Are they a blind box?
Yeah.
Well, okay, not the pop ones, but there are other ones that are blind box.
So, I've got this Marvel one that I got, and they sell a lot of these at Spencer's and Hot Topic and stuff like that. And it's there's 24 characters that you can get, and you look on the back, it actually shows you your chances of getting a specific character. So 1 out of 32 chance that you can get, Negan from Walking Dead, or
And see that right there has been one of the biggest complaints is over in China. Legally, they have to tell you the chances of getting a specific item in a loot box, but over in America, we have no regulation on that.
Yeah.
And as I was saying, Peggy, they said that they cannot define gambling, so they would have to look at what a third party, like what the gambling association says about it, and the gambling association or whatever said it's not gambling, so they're just agreeing with them. And so, that's the big thing is we have no chances. So we don't. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have chances. We do not know what the chances are.
Yeah.
So the community can figure it out.
Right. So that's what's been happening. It's like I spent $200 on Destiny Silver to figure out the chances, so you don't have to. Those are big videos on YouTube now, simply from the rise of these loot boxes.
Yeah.
It's creating its own subculture within gaming, really.
Right.
But at the same time, here's the flip side, okay? And this is the key. It's just people are starting to. It's not directly gameplay affecting yet, but people are starting to try to inch more towards that. Or developers and publishers are kind of starting to move more towards that.
Well,
but what I was going to say was like for example, what is it? Rocket League, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a huge Rocket League fan. I play a lot of Rocket League, and I like to play competitively. And whenever I get a loot box and stuff like that, and it requires me to buy a key, I purchase a key like that because, you know, especially for games that are cheaper, you know, especially those games that are $20 and stuff like that. There's times whenever a loot box is completely aesthetic and I want to support the developer, so I'll go ahead and I'll purchase that loot box item. I think if you keep it that way, the same goes for like Team Fortress with their hat things or whatever. Counter-Strike, right? And that's another one where you buy like Counter-Strike.
I think what you're sort of getting at is that people are completely fine with loot boxes when all it is an aesthetic change to the way you play the game.
Right.
What the Forza thing was specifically about, as well as I want to also get into Shadow of War, is that you're paying to get something that would give you an edge over other players of the game.
And here's another thing too. A big key.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Well, and the biggest thing more than anything else too is, can you get the item even if you didn't buy the loot box? So like Rocket League, I can get every single item that I get into a loot box just by random drops.
Right.
But really, whenever you buy a loot box, it's not about the chance of getting a rare item. It's about the fact that I'm getting an extra item on top of however much I've already won from the match that I played before.
Right.
A lot of games try to go for this model, and what's happening is that you're starting to see games like Destiny, which offers these really badass emotes that you can't get any other way except for, you know, unless you buy it. I mean, if the content is locked unless you buy this extended crap, you know, then I feel at that point it becomes unethical because you've already paid for the base game.
And we had discussed about Shadow of War.
Or it's single player, yeah.
It's single player, and, well, it is single player up to a point, but you can be invaded while you're not playing.
Yeah.
And it's based off of the type of orcs that you've dominated. And the thing they said was, hey, you can get in-game currency, I believe it's silver, or pay for gold, and those get you the... I mean, of course, whatever, 100 gold is going to get you one loot box, whereas 1,000 silver will get you one loot box.
Right.
But, you know, the question I proposed to all you guys was, if I use Cheat Engine to modify the amount of silver I had, is this ethical? And I sent you guys, I sent you guys a video of someone doing that, and they could just buy an infinite amount of loot boxes to get the chance of getting that rare Urok or whatever they're called. Yeah. To then basically, when they're not playing, they'd be able to siege other people's places. And I don't know if this is cross-platform the way it works or anything like that.
Ethical is kind of a gray area there, but I guess, but you know,
Ethical, depends on your ethics.
yeah, I mean, but it's just, I guess you can kind of say, you know, God, who makes that now? Ubisoft.
Ubisoft
the
and
WB.
Warner Brother games.
No,
Yeah.
it's a WB game.
Well,
but I did do it.
They should have gotten better at, you know, blocking stuff
Well,
like
but
that.
the thing about it is the silver is it's a local thing. It's not a...
If it's a local variable, then we kind of touched on this a little bit. If you're only touching, you know, your local drive, modifying your own bits.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you could... okay, so the closest example was I was playing...
They need to do server validation on it.
Not Assassin's Creed Syndicate, but the one before that. The one that took place in France. Anyways, they have a thing called, they have 4 different currencies, and one of them's like an H, and it lets you hack and bypass some stuff.
Yeah.
I was able to edit it locally, but then when I try and go purchase the actual stuff with it, like the boosts and stuff, it says a server error, and because it knows I don't have 999,999 of them, because it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
But it did.
Put in too big of a number.
True, but it did work with any of the equipment that you could, or any of the things that was just like a local unlock. It worked, but when I actually tried to get the stuff you would have had to pay to get that type of currency to then unlock, it didn't work.
Huh. That's pretty interesting.
So, I mean, that is one thing where, you know, my assumption probably is then that the loot boxes are actually stored locally and they don't necessarily ping the server to get them in Shadow of War. So that means if you use Cheat Engine on your PC to get silver and buy it, go for it, because they're not going to stop you.
In that case, I say it's the fault of the developer because they should be doing validation on their side.
Or
Yeah,
mediation,
for
well,
sure.
Essentially, what it speaks to me, and you guys might have a different opinion, is that the only validation it's doing is when you pay to get gold. That's all it cares for, and it makes that number go higher.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but I don't know. I think that there is starting to become a little bit of a problem where people are trying to block portions of the game off with these microtransaction loot box bullshit.
Well,
and
it's because they're looking at mobile, and in mobile it was something like, 80% of games or it's like 50% of the market is free to play games or something like that, and then in that 80% of the profit comes from like 0.25% of just the whales who spend all the money. Or something like that. It's like this ridiculously small amount that spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And that's cool, that's great, that's fine and all, but I mean, that's also a mobile game, whereas, you're talking about a game that you paid $60 for, and then you're going to try to sit there and fucking, throw that on top of that, too. I mean, like...
And my thing is I don't believe that it's actually the developers. I believe it is the publisher, someone in marketing who's like, hey, this is what they're doing to make money on the mobile front. Here's how we can make money in our game.
I totally agree.
Because I've never heard an interview, granted this is third hand, but I've never heard an interview with any developer that it's like, we tried to make a bad game. That's never been, they've always tried to make a good game.
Yeah.
And their focus has always been, gameplay, mechanics, and just the way, the graphics and how it feels. Like
the publisher's got to figure out a way to make money off of it.
Right.
They're sitting in there in their meeting and they say, all right, cool, this is a great game. Now I want you to put this in here to actually generate more revenue. And it's like, well, that messes with some of the mechanics. And
it just destroys the artistry of actually making that game.
It kind of edges into the conversation we were having about the indie developers,
Yeah.
They don't have an overlord.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. But and then your trade-off is the resources that you have behind that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's go ahead and start wrapping things up here. Let's talk a little bit about our beer and let's review it a little bit. So to remind our listeners, we were drinking Octoberfest from Bell's, which is a Marzen-style beer, the traditional German style for the Oktoberfest season. So
straight out of Comstock.
Freaking good. It was good.
All right. Let's start with you, Zach.
I was just gonna say, man, that was good Marzen. It really reminds me of Paulaner's. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. I'm gonna also say though, I haven't really ever been able to really taste any real difference between a lot of Oktoberfest beers. Like, if you're talking about like Paulaner's Marzen, or if you're talking about these guys, or if you're talking about even Shiner's Oktoberfest kind of deal. They all kind of just taste the same to me, and I think it might just be because they put that Oktoberfest wrapper on there, and then I'm just like, oh, it's an Oktoberfest beer, but...
Yeah, see, like, it wasn't really until I started really sitting down with them and, trying to, like, taste the differences between them that I could really figure out, oh, this one's a little bit more biscuity, this one's a little bit differently. And it's... If you're going to an Oktoberfest, who the hell cares? You're just going there to drink some beer, eat
good
some
beer.
Eat
good
some,
food,
yeah, eat some Wiener Schnitzel. And some some sauerkraut, and just have a good time. But when we were getting to the point where we were trying to sit down, taste, and dissect beers, then I could really kind of get a little bit of a difference between the different breweries.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing too, is that this is just one of those beers that you can't just have at any point during the year.
No, definitely.
And it is the definition of a seasonal beer, and so. For its rarity, it definitely increases how I feel about it. But at the same time, this is gonna. I don't want to talk down on it by any means, but I kind of feel like it tasted like a lager in a sense.
Well, it is a lager, so
it is.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you my knowledge on that one. Well,
instincts are correct, sir.
It was delicious. I enjoyed it a lot because I like lagers.
So, out of 10,
7.
7?
Solid 7. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Joseph?
I'm going to be a little bit more harsh on this.
Well,
Yeah, I know. Well, it didn't really, to me, it didn't stand out from some of the other beers we've had on the cast.
Yeah.
And it might just be because I actually haven't been tasting some Oktoberfest to compare it to what's out there right now.
yeah, this is actually my first Octoberfest of the season.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit shameful for all of us.
But like comparing it just to the beers we've had, on the cast, this didn't really stand out too much to me. But I mean, that being said, it wasn't bad. It was good. I liked it. I'm going to go and give it a 6.5.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Solid.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Like, I don't know what it's supposed to be.
Is this your first Oktoberfest, I suppose?
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, it's not as good of a lagers that I've had. I mean, it is cool that it's orange, but the flavor to me just, I mean, it's harsher than what I think I like.
I think I can see what you're saying.
Okay, so it's, here, let me take a sip.
I finished mine long ago.
Yeah.
The floor finished mine.
It's just, I guess maybe I would like it a little bit lighter feeling.
Yeah,
I bet you want more biscuit. That's probably what
and it may be that where this is just, I guess it's more of the, what is it called? The herb that you use.
Hops?
Yes, there's more of a certain sharp hop that, I don't know, maybe just doesn't agree with my taste.
I mean, it could be, but even then, Oktoberfest traditionally kind of use slightly more mild hops.
Slightly.
Really? I don't know. There's just something that I'm not agreeing with, but it does feel like festive. Like when I look at this beer, I'm like, yeah, it's fall. It's ready to drink something like this.
Yeah,
especially on a day like today when it's already dropped off. And
It's nice and cool outside.
The beginning of Texas fall.
So like,
aren't here in Texas and
it's now finally 74 degrees outside. But yeah, I mean, I love the atmosphere it presents. I just, for some reason, do not like it as much. So I'm only going to give it a 6.
Understandable, yeah. So, it's definitely a fest beer. Oktoberfest, as far as lagers go, is definitely a heavier beer.
Well, my score would probably change once I have more of these and I can actually compare. But
definitely.
Being my first one, I just have no frame of reference.
Definitely. And it's really interesting because, Oktoberfest is a little bit heavier beer, and Oktoberfest is always really interesting because, people go out there, they'll go out there because, it's a festival. We just, drink beer. That's what we do at Oktoberfest, and they'll overdrink.
Right.
And because Oktoberfest beers tend to be heavier, they also tend to range, I'd say 6 to 7% range.
So get trashed.
Yeah, because unfortunately, a big proponent of people that go to Oktoberfest are the people that are pounding Bud Light.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I went to a concert recently, and there's these frat boys behind me, and they're like, "Yeah, I drank 3 Bud Lights last night." I'm just like, talk to me when you're drinking 3 margaritas a night.
Yeah. But so those people will drink Oktoberfest, not realizing the strength that comes with it. And they'll overdrink, and it's really interesting because true Oktoberfest in Germany, I forget the city where the Munich, Munich, where the true official one happens. You get a lot of Americans that go there and overdrink.
Yeah.
And there's you can go online and kind of find albums of this, but I think they have something over in that area called Recovery Hill or something like that.
Hippie all down the hill, man.
And it's people that pass out on the hill, puking their brains out, peeing everywhere, and it's just it's
man.
Oktoberfest is interesting.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the bottle here. It looks like this one was about 5.5%. Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
Does it happen to say the hops
on here? It doesn't. It does say the shelf life is 3 months, and it was packaged on 8/18. So we're in the shelf life period. So that's good.
Yeah. And Oktoberfest is actually kind of interesting, and it kind of goes with lagers in general. Lagers tend to age a little bit longer before they're released. What they traditionally did with Oktoberfest beers back, I guess, in olden days, is that they would, they brew it and they'd either bury it or stick it in a deep cave somewhere.
For temperature control.
Exactly. Yeah, and they could stick it there for a few months until the fall time. They'd brew it in the spring and then, dig it back up in the fall time and drink it.
I may not know that this was. I may not have known that this was basically a lager, but I do know how a lager is made.
But as far as my thoughts on it, it was a decent Oktoberfest as they go.
Let's hear some numbers, brother.
I'd probably stick around a 7 out of 10.
Ooh, there we go.
I've definitely had better Oktoberfests, I feel like, but this one is pretty good. This is actually a brewery, Bell's, that I'm trying to think.
They're in Michigan.
Yeah, they're from Michigan, but they've only been authorized to distribute to Texas less than a year.
Really?
Wait, so what? Why?
Texas has stupid laws when it comes to alcohol.
They have a lot of laws when it comes to alcohol.
And so you have to go through a special process to be able to distribute to Texas if you're out of state.
Oh, there we go.
And so for some more indie craft beer breweries, it's harder to get to Texas.
Yeah.
And so this particular one just recently got to Texas. So we've had this one, I think when y'all have come to my house before for like a barbecue or something, we've had their 2 Hearted Ale, which is their pale ale, and it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was a decent beer, and I wouldn't throw it out the window. I would definitely drink it. So
I dug it. I liked it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's our podcast.
Yeah, that's our podcast. Our beer,
Bearded Monk.
Yeah, our beer, comes from the Bearded Monk, which we adore them. So they just had their 2-year anniversary this weekend.
Put your foot in that big old shotgun.
Yeah, I didn't get to go.
I did not either, unfortunately.
Shamefully.
It's a shame.
Hey,
it really is. I think
smile, you're on
crazy
camera.
enough, so.
I think what we should try to do, though, is we'd like to go ahead and look into trying to do a podcast actually there.
Yeah, we want to do a live podcast at the Bearded Monks. That'd be kind of interesting. Maybe we can get that set up sometime. But if you don't know, they do their Free Beer Friday show, DentonRadio.com. Every Friday they bring in a different brewer from a different brewery or just somebody related to the craft beer market. Talk to them a little bit, kind of interview them, then go back over to the Bearded Monk. Big old shotgun. If Bobby was here, he would say, "Put your foot in," because that's what you do when you shotgun at the Bearded Monk. But other than that, we want to thank everybody for joining us this week. Be sure to check us out, beersoftheroundtable.com, Facebook, iTunes, Instagram, Overcast, Stitcher, TuneIn. Am I forgetting any? This is always the hardest part of the podcast.
You're
good. All right.
Print out a list.
Something a little teleprompter over there that I can just read.
Exactly. And be sure to check out with us next week for our back bar. We haven't decided who's going to be doing it yet this next week.
I think Bobby wants to take it, so.
All right. So be sure to join us.
Yeah, and be sure to crack a cold one with your boys.